Hello, I'm standing outside London's giant glass testicle. We know that's what it is because Mayor Ken Livingstone told us. And when it comes to talking testicles, there really is no greater expert than Ken Livingstone. But we're here today to talk about the pay he hands out to his senior bureaucrats. Because according to a new publication from the Taxpayers Alliance, the Town Hall Rich List, he has no fewer than 14 of them in there on salaries above £100,000 a year. And he's not alone. The TPA has found that across Britain, no fewer than 578 senior town hall officials are now being paid in excess of £100,000 a year. And it's costing taxpayers £72 million. But that, of course, excludes other costs such as pension contributions. The TPA made other astonishing discoveries. For one thing, the cost of these top local bureaucrats seems to be increasing at an enormous rate. It increased by 36% just in the last year alone.
And the winner is Kent County Council, who in 2005-06 paid their chief executive £229,999. Well done, Kent. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm wondering who thought it was a good use of public money to site County Hall on a premium spot like this. Surely if you worked here with this view, you wouldn't need paid as well.
And in one way or another, these people seem to be giving themselves some pretty juicy pay increases. Just in the last 12 months alone, their average pay increased by 6.1%, which of course is much higher than the pay increases they are granting their more junior employees. Now, at a time when local authorities have never been more strapped for cash, you may find it surprising that these people have been able to wriggle their way into such huge pay increases. How on earth have they done it? Well, let's look at a couple of the techniques.
One rather nice little earner turns out to be to act as the returning officer for the local election. The chief exec of Caerphilly Council earned over £20,000 doing just that. A second good way of getting more money is to play musical reorganisations like Camden did in 2005-06. 3 directors there played the music, switched their chairs around, changed their job titles, and each got a 30% pay increase. What a result!
The TPA also made the astonishing discovery that the biggest employer of these highly paid officials is one of the poorest boroughs in the country, Tower Hamlets. Well, since making these videos, I've been stopped by the police 3 times under the 2000 Terrorism Act, and they're now trying to drown me out by firing a salvo of shots over my head from Tower of London. Now, some people argue that we have to pay these high salaries. Pay peanuts and you'll get monkeys, they say. And besides, they point down the river there to just under Tower Bridge, to Canary Wharf, where 20-something investment bankers routinely get paid packages well into 6 figures. But there are 1 or 2 differences we need to highlight. Well, let's set on one side the fact that those high earners on Canary Wharf are fearsomely bright and incredibly hard-working, often working into the early hours of the morning. I'm sure there must be people inside the Greater London Assembly there hard at work at 3 AM as well. And let's concentrate instead on the fact that the rewards that are gotten down the river are largely paid out for risk-taking and innovating. And it is impossible to argue that today's local authorities are either of those things. In fact, by and large, the job of a local authority in Britain today is simply to implement orders handed down from Whitehall.
And behind that is a key difference between public and private sector pay. In the private sector, those mega salaries that are paid down the river can only be paid if firms satisfy their customers who are free to choose. In the public sector, we taxpayers have no choice. We have to stump up for these bureaucrats' salaries, whether we like it or not. As far as I'm aware, there is no shortage of recruits for these jobs, and there is no effective market test of the rate.
Now, there is one final point to make, and that is that the Taxpayers Alliance found it incredibly difficult to assemble this information. They had to send out well over 200 separate freedom of information requests to individual local authorities. And at the end of the day, some of them still refuse to make public how much they are paying their senior officials. So we're going to end this report with a name and shame list.